Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together, and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that matter.
Is Bitcoin a safe place to park your cash as the Russia-Ukraine crisis rolls on? The cryptocurrency is up 13% since the invasion began, though losing some steam today. A resident Bitcoin baller, BK, says it may work better as an inflation hedge than a safety play. BK, you brought the charts again.
Yeah, I did bring the charts. Yeah, so listen, Bitcoin as a safe haven, I think has been debunked, number one, by the volatility, and two, by the fact that it has been highly correlated with the stock market. But something has changed here. So Bitcoin has been a very good inflation hedge when you're expecting inflation. Fed comes out in November, said, hey, we're going to crush inflation. I don't need my inflation hedge anymore, therefore Bitcoin falls. But because we've had this inflation shock from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, you now have negative real rates. And again, negative real rates are just a Wall Street way to say inflation's going to run hot, bond yields are going to be lower than inflation. In that environment, you need to look for something other than bonds. And you want to get the fastest horse in the race, and Bitcoin is it. Now, if we look back and say, have we seen this before? Is there precedent for this? Sure. Look at the negative real rates in January 2019, just before Bitcoin took off on a run. Real rates went from positive to negative. In March of 2020, we had real rates starting to go much more positive, and then all of a sudden we had the COVID shock, and they started to get more negative. Bitcoin took off. And then just over the last week again, we have a very similar macro setup. So for me, if you're looking for an inflation hedge and you think things are going to accelerate and you're watching wheat and corn and oil and copper and everything else go through the roof, hedge your portfolio with Bitcoin.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And now we see the Hegelian dialectic being played again. Bitcoin is not a safe haven. But guys, we already knew that. We know right now the whole crypto market is based on speculation. The Fed printed all this money and they had to put it somewhere. But we know they have to take it back in order to build this fourth industrial revolution. And right now, guys, we see regulation is building. We know we're already going to have global regulation in November, but they have to build this tool. Remember, this is part of a plan. And the actual Ukraine and Russia situation is a perfect one. Because now they're going to be able to take all your privacy. Remember, the reason why they want to get rid of cash, because they want to track every transaction. And if I can track every transaction, that means I can tax every transaction. Remember I told you, they're not going to ask you to pay taxes anymore. You're going to automatically pay it. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And they're setting up the economy. They're destroying every single area, so therefore they can bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones that take humanity out the workforce. And the sheep will go inside the metaverse. Because I give you the truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, the truth hurts, but it sets you free. Have a wonderful day.
And there have been requests from government officials in Ukraine, at least. There was a tweet, for example, by the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine asking crypto exchanges to block addresses of all Russian users. Kraken has said, no, you guys are not doing that. Why not?
That's right. I mean, we don't take a position around the world against ordinary citizens. We do, of course, follow the standard financial services regulations, the OFAC sanctions. We're closely following executive orders from the White House. And where we are required to do so legally, we will freeze the accounts of any individual identified, or should the State Department or OFAC roll out sanctions countrywide like they have in Iran or North Korea, then of course we would be compelled to comply with that. But as far as sanctioning individuals, we haven't seen that work very well. I mean, as a private company, there would potentially be repercussions for us doing that voluntarily. Once you go to freeze someone's financial account, they're no longer able to pay their rent, pay their debts, buy food, support their family. It's a pretty extreme measure, and it's far beyond turning off someone's access to their music streaming service or, their photo sharing app. Shutting off someone's financial access, we take very seriously. and generally only do that at the request of a government agency, with the formal legal requirement to do so. And we don't believe that the majority of Russian people support this invasion. And the United States as well has been involved in numerous military conflicts around the world. I think most people in the United States would not support those actions. And so, I'm happy that as an American citizen, when we invaded Iraq and when we invaded Afghanistan, that I didn't have my bank account turned off and my brokerage account seized, because I don't have anything to do with that. And I think ordinary Russian citizens, either they don't know what's happening, they don't support what's happening, or they're being subjected to a tremendous amount of propaganda inside the country and just don't know what to believe. And I think to put additional pressure on those people removes the ability for them to fight internally for what they believe in, removes their ability to leave the country if they feel like things aren't going the way that they like anymore. They don't believe in the regime anymore. So it's a pretty extreme measure for us to take. And we obviously don't have all the information that the State Department has or other countries have about the situation. And so it's a bit too far, I think, for us to go and impose sanctions on individual users really without the requirement to do.
So Ben, do you think this is a real issue, or do you think this is a red herring, as some of the crypto industry leaders have suggested?
I mean, first of all, I say good luck with that, right? The whole point of crypto is that you can move money around without, having it go through any middleman, go through any authority. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of Bitcoin and crypto, is that it's free, it's yours. I think that it's somewhat of a red herring. I do think a lot of money's moving that way. If I were an oligarch, I'd have a ton of Bitcoin. I'd have NFTs, I'd have all of this stuff because it's not something that's easily controllable by anybody else. And it's also very free, and you can just get up and move to the next country with it. So I do think that it's a concern, but I'm not certain what anybody can do about it or whether it's even right to do something about it.
Ben?
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, The fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.